Hello, bass students. Today we're going to be working on the pieces on page 2 of Essential Elements, Book 2. Now, if you're new to the bass, go ahead and watch me and how I'm fingering it, and it's okay to write the fingerings in your book. We're working on D major today, and you are going to be doing some shifting. But don't worry because the bass fingerboard is really large and pretty easy to find your way around. So just have the courage to move out of first position because we're going to be doing that today. So first we're going to go ahead and tune our bass, and what I'd like you to do is you can tune with the tuner. I'm going to go ahead and play the tuning track off of Essential Elements Interactive, so if you don't have a tuner, you're welcome to tune with this. Make sure that you're being careful about which of the heads to grab, and we call these machine heads up here. They are geared, so it's very difficult to break a string on the bass, and they move at a nice pace, so it's easy to hear them going into tune. So let's go ahead and play the tuning track.
Here is the tuning note A. Here is the tuning note D. Here is the tuning note G. Here is the tuning note E for violins and basses.
As you're tuning, it is really challenging to hear if the notes are in tune. So it's sometimes nice to find your harmonic, which is halfway up the string. It should be up here, and hopefully you have a tape on it. So if you're having a hard time hearing it, just lightly touching your finger to the harmonic. We'll play the note one octave higher than the open string, and that is easier to hear and also easier for the tuner to register. So that's a great tip. Another idea would be if you put your hand in third position. So that's the next spot outside of first position. So you might have tapes there as well. You should. And if you play your fourth finger on one string and then your first finger on the next string, and again, we're playing harmonics. We're not pressing the strings down, and we're only putting one finger down at a time. That will, they should sound the same. So that's a common method for basses to tune. All right, let's get started. We're going to go ahead and play the first track in the book, number 2, which is the D major scale. And notice how the book has indicated where the half steps are. Half steps for you just mean that is there's no note in between them. And for the bass fingering in first position and until you get up to this range, you're going to be using first finger, second finger, and fourth finger. So you're going to have a hand shape that looks kind of like this. You should have more space between first and second finger, and then you do not use your third finger until you get much higher up on the fingerboard, which we're not going to do today, but we will soon. So first finger, second finger, and fourth finger, and for D major we start on the open D string. So let's go ahead and walk through the fingering first. We play open D, first finger in first position. Remember, you do have a note back here in half position, but we're not going to play that note today. So first finger is E, and then we've got F sharp is fourth finger. Then we play our open G, first finger, then our fourth finger again. Now you're going to shift, you're going to go up to third position, and you're going to play second finger. C sharp is right between your first and fourth finger tapes in third position. And then fourth finger plays D. And then we normally do repeat the top note when we're going up a scale, but today we're not going to because the scale is designed to be played in a round. So we'll just play it once and then we'll go right back down C sharp. Back to first position, fourth finger, B. A is first finger. Open G. Good, and then we've got fourth finger, F sharp. E. And then D. Now remember, if you've recently switched from another instrument, you do need to put a whole lot of weight into the bow to get the bass strings to move. And move the bow slowly also. You don't want to use too much bow on bass. Do make sure that you've rosined up the bow. One of the things that sometimes causes basses to sound kind of whooshy is if you don't use enough rosin on the bow. So make sure that you're using bass rosin. When you rosin it, you go in one direction at a time from the frog toward the tip. You don't go back the other way. And the bass rosin is really pretty sticky, and that's necessary to get the bass strings to really move. So let's go ahead and play this with the backing track. We're going to just play it together at the beginning. As you're learning how to navigate the bass fingerboard, do feel free to look at your fingers. You should be able to see them, and if you've got some tapes on the fingerboard, that really can help find your spot until you kind of learn your way around. Let's go ahead and we're going to do that one more time. This time I'm going to lay out for one measure. You go ahead and start with the recording, and I will follow you in a round. Go ahead. Good job. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one now. For the rest of the ones on this page, you may find that you need to take a little bit of time to figure out the fingering before you play it along with me. But I would suggest you go ahead and watch first to kind of learn the fingering, look at the notes. You can write finger numbers in the book. I encourage you not to write letter names because that's going to slow you down in the long run. So if you need to write some fingerings in, that's totally okay. This next one is called a D major arpeggio. Arpeggio uses some of the notes of the D major scale, but you're also skipping some notes. So the D major arpeggio is basically what we call the D major triad. It's a chord, and it has 3 notes in it. The notes are D, F sharp, and A, and then when we get to the top of it, we play that high D again, which is part of the chord. So D, F sharp, and A. So you're skipping some of the notes of the scale. Let's go ahead, and after you've figured the notes, try playing it with me. We're going to go ahead and put the backing track on. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one now, which is D Major Mania. This one is a little bit longer, and it does use all of the notes of the D major scale, but not in the order that they appear in the scale. So this is a good one for kind of practicing navigating, jumping around between the notes of D major. Watch carefully for the fingering, and let's go over what we're doing. So we play D and then F sharp, and then E up to G, F sharp, G, and then here's where we shift, and we're going to go to 4th finger on C sharp, and that will put us in position so we can still reach the next note, which is B. So if we go all the way up to 3rd position, we're going to be out of the range of reaching that B. So when we get to the F sharp, we're playing it with the 4th finger. That is position 2.5, so it's just a half step lower than 3rd position. And then we go up to, and then second, up to 4th finger for D, and then 2nd finger for the C sharp. So there's a couple of shifts in here, but this is the most efficient fingering for this pattern. Just kind of get used to moving around the string. That's just a part of the deal with bass. And fortunately, the strings are very easy to navigate because there is so much space there. It's easy to find your way around. Let's try this one with the backing track, D Major Mania. Good job. job. We got one more to do today, and that is Theme from London Symphony. Theme from London Symphony is by Franz Joseph Haydn. This is a melody. They're asking for it to be played legato, which means nice and smooth. And we're going to be using those same notes that we've been working on, the notes of the D major scale. So let's look through this for the shifts. It looks like the first four measures are all in first position. And then you're going to shift up to the fourth finger in third position for D. Remember, you do have C sharp, so that's going to be a half step below the D. Second finger if you're in third position. Then we go back to first position. The second line is all in first position. And then in the third line, we're going back to third position. The Roman numerals underneath the notes indicate what position you're in. So right here is third position. This is first position. And then this one here is second position, or we call this 2.5 because this is also second position. So second position can be in either of those spots. So we're just calling this one position 2.5. The main thing though with bass is know where the notes are on the fingerboard, know how far apart they are. Don't worry so much about numbering what position you're in. Just make sure that you're aware where the notes are, how they correspond with the tapes, and that you know what kind of an interval you can fit between the fingers, so that you can do a half step between 1 and 2, and then it's a half step between 2 and 4, and we're not using the third finger. Okay, so go ahead and map out how you're going to play this, and maybe practice the shifts, and then when you're ready you can play along with me. If you want to kind of see how it goes, you're welcome to watch me first. That's it for page 2. Good luck, and make sure that you're going nice and slowly, figuring out those notes, and being very, very careful to play them in tune. I would suggest that you have your tuner out if you can while you're practicing, so you can work on tuning up those notes. Also use the guides on your fingerboard to help your fingers find the notes, and you may find that as you're sort of figuring this out, you need to spend a little bit of time looking back and forth between the music and your fingerboard to find the right spots. So be patient with yourself. Make sure to put a whole lot of weight into that bow to get a good sound, and remember, slow bow is the name of the game for bass. Don't move the bow too fast. Good luck, and let me know if you need any help.